Hey, my beautiful bitches, it's me, Fiona St. James, and welcome to another episode of Fiona's Coffee Talks. And as always, I like to start off every day with a fresh, hot black cup of coffee. Hold the cream! I'd love to, in my favorite coffee mug, which of course is the logo to my channel. Coffee, of course, with no Kahlua, because as we all know, girl, I don't be doing Kahlua anymore, I just can't. Anyway, it is Thursday, October 22nd, going on 5 p.m. And today's topic is, drumroll please, I'm going to talk about Mercury being in retrograde. So I'm sure we've all heard that expression before. And it's interesting because I never really sometimes I know ahead of time, but most of the time it's just that where suddenly shit seems to be fucked up, or like things seem a little off, or things just aren't flowing the way they should. Now, granted, with this global pandemic that we in, it feels like Mercury has been in retrograde since March. But I've noticed that right around now, I find myself speaking to some of my best friends, and and then you complain about things, or just in conversations about certain topics, I find myself saying estúpida, because I find that I'm there's so much estúpida bitches doing all this stupid shit around me lately. And then when I was speaking to my best friend, hey Silverfish, she was like, oh yeah, Mercury's in retrograde. And I was like, oh shit, that would make sense. Cause there's a few things that I've noticed as of late. And I mean, just in the last few days, the most important thing that I've noticed is that just in even walking around in my neighborhood, or going the times that I go into the city, which is, a few times a week now. It used to only be once a month initially, but now, I'm going out there a little bit more. But I've noticed that there's less, I noticed that there's more people that are not wearing a mask. And I don't know if it's that people are just getting a little too relaxed about it, or which you shouldn't. I mean, I know New York City, we're doing really well in terms of keeping it at bay, and the numbers are really low. But, they keep talking about this second wave. And my only fear with that is that I don't want people to get too comfortable and then suddenly, let your guard down. And I've even noticed with myself that I've had, I've had moments where I've done that, because it is a little hard to sustain that kind of discipline. But guys, we have to do it. So, but I've just noticed in the last I I'm wow. And I don't know why, but it's just been the case. So maybe I'm a little more aware of it because, I know that the winter is coming and they keep talking about the second wave. So maybe I'm a little more aware of seeing who is or who isn't. But it just seems that number of people not wearing it is creeping up a little bit. And I'm oh, that's doesn't really make me all that comfortable. And then in the other area of my personal life is you guys all know that I do massages. So, I hadn't for 4 months, but the last few months, I've been at that level of comfort where I could do it. And, I've said this in my videos. I let them know that, I've had the COVID test. I just had one a week ago, little over a week ago, as an actor. Now when you have to be on a SAG set, you have to get that done. So I just got it done a week ago Friday. And of course it was negative, because shouldn't say of course, but it was, because, I am doing everything that I can in my power to stay that way. But I noticed that, oh Lord, I forgot my thoughts. See that? I go off on these tangents, and then I'm wait, what am I talking about? So anyway, I digress. So yes, I spoke about the mask, and oh shit, my mind is a blank. You know what? I did not. Maybe I should have had some Kahlua up in this bitch so that I could know what the hell is going on. Okay, massage clients. That's what it was. So I've noticed that in the last week or so, I've had a bunch of doozies. I say doozies where but they have not even come to fruition. But suddenly I'm like getting all of these like wackos on the phone that are just kind of like either wasting my time and or like requesting these like really weird things. Like one guy's like, oh, are you strong? And I'm like, and I'm thinking because, I'm only 5'5", 140. I'm thinking, well, maybe this bitch is like 500 pounds. But I hope not, because my table only holds up to 400 pounds. But I'm thinking that maybe he's asking me that because he wants to make sure that I could like really give him a deep massage. And I was like, well, yeah, I said I have a gym membership. I'm active. I'm not a weakling. I said I'm only 5'5", 140, but like, but and he was like, oh, well, would you say that you were muscular? And I'm like, dude, like, you've seen my pictures. And I said, they said, is there a reason why you're asking me all these questions? I just straight up said it like that. And he was like, oh, well, do you like to wrestle? Now, bitch, how do you get from a massage that you're going to be on my table and I'm going to give you a massage? Where do you get wrestling from that? And I'm like, and I said to him, I said, well, you realize that this is like a massage site because, I'm thinking if you want to wrestle around, first of all, bitch, I ain't trying to get that close to anyone, number one. Number two, it's like, this isn't an escort call because usually like, if you're going to wrestle with someone, that's going to lead to other things. And I'm like, that's not what I'm doing here. So, I pretty much told him that and then he like hung up on me. And I was like, good riddance. But it was like, then like some other guy who's like, some straight guy who like keeps, well, I say that, but 99% of my clients are heterosexual or at least lead a heterosexual life and have wives or girlfriends or engaged. But, good. I don't care what the hell you are. Just come, let's conduct business. So this guy's been calling me but yet he doesn't book the appointment. And he keeps saying, oh, that I wish I could come now. And like he called me the other night and it was like almost midnight. And he's like, my girlfriend's not here from work. Well, like, and he lives in Long Beach, which, was like an hour away. Well, what if I send you an Uber, and you could come here and blah, blah, blah. I said, wait a minute. I'm not going to like jump in an Uber and go to fucking Long Beach, which would take like an hour. And not only that, but he was like, well, and I don't want my girlfriend to know. So like, could you order it on your Uber, which I don't do Uber, I do Lyft anyway. And then I'll send you the money. And I'm like, no. And I was like, what time does your girlfriend get home anyway? 1. I said, dude, it's noon. It's midnight. So how does that work that I'm going to get there and be there for like 1 minute before your girlfriend gets home and busts us? Oh, but I'm really horny. And I'm like, you know what? And I was like, I don't know what to tell him. And then he calls me the next day and he's still going on about nothing. And I said, look, stop wasting my time. I'm not here to like, for you to tell me how hard you are. I don't give a shit. You going to book the appointment or not? And so he kind of got mad and, of course, I haven't heard from him either. So I guess the moral to this is like the whole thing with where I'm like, it's a bunch of estúpidas. Estúpida, I like to say. So I also say reading is fundamental because lately what I have found is like in speaking to some of these clients, these bitches, girl, the library is open and I end up having to read them. And I try to be nice. I really do. I'm really not a bitch, but I've noticed that like, my level of tolerance or dealing with people's bullshit, I mean, it was never there anyway. But honey, I'm here to tell you, as a 55-year-old gay man, and with everything going on in the world, I deal with it that much less. Like my level for even giving a shit to make believe I care is not there. So, what ends up happening is I call people out on their shit. So specifically clients, because I'm like, dude, shit'll get off the pot. So, that's been a couple of incidents. And then even like in like my dating world, not that I'm even really dating, but there's been a couple of people that I've been, that you speak to that you're like, you try to get together or like, friends with benefits that you've been with before. And one in particular who had been like, out of the country for a while, and then he came back, and then we were going to get together like 2 weeks after the fact, because obviously he had to quarantine. But then all of a sudden, like, this bitch came up with some bullshit about, we were going to get together 2 weeks later, but then he knew that I had worked that one day on the set. And then all of a sudden and that day ended up being canceled anyway. So then when the time came to like get together, then he was like, oh, well, we should wait 2 weeks because you've been working all week on the set. And I was like, what? I said, no, it was one day that was like canceled. And, huh? And I was like, look, and I finally was like, first of all, bitch, you're old, you're 65, you're too young, you're too old to be acting so juvenile, long in the tooth, as I like to say. And if you're not interested, just say so. But it's odd because it's someone that I've known for years, and we've like been together a lot. And, so maybe he's over it, but that's fine too. My whole thing is just like, be honest about shit. And, but I have just found that in the last week or so, I have dealt with like between clients or like, the few people that I'm speaking to, it's just been bullshit after bullshit. And I'm like, dude, you know what? And I thought to myself, oh, Mercury must be in retrograde. Like, I didn't say that, I thought that in my head. And then when I was speaking to Silverfish girl, then she was like, oh yeah. And sure enough, like right before I did this video, I Googled it, and it said that Mercury is in retrograde up to and including November 3rd. And in that same passage, they were talking about, that's obviously election day. So they were like, so make sure that like, you get all your voting and done and blah, blah, blah. So I think to myself, oh, well, that's kind of nuts, because I could just imagine like how the early voting is going to be, with all of this shit going on. P.S. Don't forget, vote. Side note here, what I'm doing is I went ahead and got an absentee ballot, which I already have in my possession, filled out, ready to go. And I'm not going to mail it because I don't trust the USPS. Bunch of lazy bitches. Where's my shit at? I'm still waiting for a check from a couple of weeks ago. Who knew? But what I'm going to do is during early voting, you can actually go to where whatever location corresponds to your district, and they'll have the drop-off boxes. They will on election day as well, but what I will do is, it's from the October 24th to November 1st. I'm not going to go the first day. I want to go somewhere in the middle. So maybe like that Monday or that Thursday, which would be like the 26th or the 29th, I guess. Yeah. And then it's close enough to my home that it's like a 10-15 minute walk. And that way I'm not waiting online, because my understanding is if you already have it ready to go in the sealed envelope, you could just go in and put it in the box. So I'm going to do it that way. That way I'm just like in and out. And, with all this shit going on, it was just interesting that in that article, about Mercury in retrograde, they speak about the election. And, I didn't read the whole thing, but it was just, I was like, oh, I wonder if they're saying, is that going to fuck shit up? I don't know how much more fucked up shit can be, frankly. They say that it's going to be in, the turnout is going to be in record numbers, which it should be. Everyone should vote. We should, and hopefully the right thing will happen. And those of us that are smart, we know what the right thing should be. Get out, your orange piece of shit. I hate you. I never liked you. I can't even look at him, let alone hear that buffoon speak. Sounds like an illegitimate, illiterate, third grade dropout. Except not as smart. All right, so Mercury in retrograde. If you guys are experiencing any shit, or if things seem a little off, realize that that's going on, and that's currently where we're at with this. So that would explain why things are a little kooky, as they say. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for being with me. I love you guys. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, hit your subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up if you like what I have to say. Leave your comments. Let me know, are you guys going through anything? Did you guys even notice that? Or did you, like, is everything the way it should be? And you're like, oh, I didn't know that shit was going on. Because I definitely, like, those couple of examples and other things too are just like, just all this fucked up shit. little things, super little things, insignificant things too. But then it's like, Mercury in retrograde. That's a bitch, but it's part of life, and what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. All right, guys. Thanks so much for being here with me and for tuning in. I love you, and I will see you again soon. Bye.